This episode of the podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Visit patreon.com/lightscameranonsense to help support your favorite new movie podcast. Now, let's roll that reel.
I have it. These are the confirmed. So Ryu, Ken. Was it only 2 characters?
No.
Yeah, it was. Street Fighter 1 only had Ryu and Ken.
No, because there's like a bunch of jobbers that never came back.
Yeah, those were the Joes and Mikes and Birdies.
No.
Yeah. How many characters does Street Fighter 1 have? The original arcade had 12 total characters, 2 of which were playable. So as playable characters, it's only Ryu and Ken.
Oh,
the game follows a character named Ryu, blah, 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 blah. And then you fight just like whatever dudes.
Okay.
The game we're thinking of is Street Fighter 2, where it has Blanca and Guile.
No. I mean, I'm thinking of 1, but the fact that they have a character named Birdie in there is throwing me off.
Okay, so I wasn't.
But they have Adon, Birdie, like a bunch of these Eagle, Geki, Gen, Joe.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It is weird, Zach.
Are we a movie podcast?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Nonsense, where we give you all the latest movie magic you may have missed. What a segue into the intro. I'm Nick, totally a Street Fighter expert Simmons.
And I'm Zach Smith.
Yeah, there you go. And on August 22nd, 2021, let's dive into the previews. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're actually watching us a day late. You could be watching us on Patreon at patreon.com/lightscameranonsense, where you can get deals on merch, exclusive videos, and you get all of our stuff a day before it shows up on YouTube or audio podcasts. And yeah, you heard me right, audio podcasts. That includes Spotify, iTunes, Last.fm, anywhere you find them. We're there.
Oh yeah.
And all you have to do is subscribe for just $1 a month, and you get that content a day early. So that's cool. Zach, what have you been watching? Oh, he's not done with the finger guns. It was a long finger guns.
It was a long stint out. Yeah.
For the audio listeners who totally can't see what you're doing.
Well, they heard me going.
But then it was just dead silence.
So first up, what I watched this past week was I started What If, Marvel's What If.
Oh, that's right. I did too. That's not on my list.
There's 2 episodes out right now. The first being What If Peggy Carter was the person who got the super soldier serum instead of Steve Rogers.
Super soldier serum.
Yeah, tongue twister there. And the second one being What If T'Challa became Star-Lord. So if that doesn't really tell you what the show is about, it's basically just, taking these scenarios, the scenarios that you know from the movies in the MCU, and twisting them a little bit to kind of function as different stories. That's what they say, but they advertise it as if this one thing changed, this is what would happen. But in reality, it's what if several of these different things happened? And because
it's supposed to be a butterfly effect sort of thing, but they don't really it's more of a what if the one main thing that's supposed to draw you in and is the title of the episode, and then all of these other things also have to happen in order for that story to have a story.
Right. So in episode 1, for example, what if Peggy Carter became Captain America, Captain Britain in this example? Then leads to, then Steve Rogers ancillarily becomes basically the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of different stuff with that. Very, very interesting, very fun. They're 30-minute episodes, so easy watches. I enjoyed the second episode a lot too, with T'Challa as Star-Lord.
I think it did a lot more with its characters and story. I think and a lot of it is also simply because Chadwick Boseman were able to get another performance from him posthumously.
It was his last role.
Yeah, and actually he technically didn't record all of his dialogue in that episode. They were able to record it with a voiceover actor,
Yeah.
and it's still seamless. I think what they do with the what if type of scenario in that episode, I think, is just so wacky and insane, and is very
Yeah, yeah.
Guardians-esque, to where people are just kind of clamoring for more of that.
Well, you know,
So
it's funny how far they go. Like with the first episode, it's they definitely do different things that are fun to see, but it's not as out there
it's
as
First Avenger again, but
episode
with
two.
Peggy Carter.
Are you there? You go. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Sorry,
were
it's
stalling there, but
it's Peggy Carter, it's Captain America: The First Avenger, but with Peggy as Captain America, and with some small tweaks to the story.
with some tweaks here and there. Yeah.
Whereas the second episode does something entirely different with an entirely new story.
Right. Yeah, and it's almost encompassing both Guardians movies instead
Yeah.
of just the first one.
And even some Avengers.
Right. Yeah, it's funny, like, the stuff they do with T'Challa's Star-Lord, because it frames this as, like, man, if T'Challa was the one, like, in space doing all this shit, like, people would revere him. He
Yeah.
would, like, the Ravagers would be, you know, like, basically
Hood.
Robin Hood type
Yeah.
characters. He's able to turn Thanos into a redeemed good guy.
Yeah, that was weird, right?
Just by talking to him.
yeah,
It's
with
so-
a good argument.
Yeah.
Shows how little Peter Quill is in the grand scheme of the Marvel universe. Just when it comes to like how influential he is to all of the characters around him.
Right. But then the second episode, I think, also does a better job of showing the effects of this down the line better than the first episode, because at the end of that, Ego,
Yeah,
Kurt Russell walks into a fucking McDonald's where Peter, like, that timeline's Peter is, and he, you know, basically says, well, too bad this is going to cause the end of the world,
Yeah.
or
Oops.
the end of the universe. Oops.
I mean, the Watcher isn't gonna do anything, or is
Yeah,
he?
yeah. Jeffrey Wright does the voice for the Watcher in all the episodes, and I mean, the
Great voice
character
acting.
is deadpan, so there's not a whole lot to do with it, but it's cool to hear him.
He has a great voice for voice acting. So
Absolutely.
can I point out something about the second episode before we get too
Yeah,
far away from it? They didn't mention Gamora once.
Yes, yeah. I thought that was I thought that was weird until I thought, well, if Thanos is redeemed, he probably never took over her homeworld, thus adopting her.
Was it? But that was when she was a child. I mean, T'Challa would have had to have been like still a boy at that time. If we're going like
I guess
so,
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
because like T'Challa would have still bumped into Gamora, right, with the Power Stone that was in the orb. There's a lot.
well,
there's a big time skip once they get
because
past a certain point.
The orb originally, yeah, because
They
Ronan
try to sell it to
was
the
trying
collector.
to get it, but the reason Gamora was there in the first place was she was sent by Thanos to look after Ronan. So, like, if he's redeemed, then he's not sending her. Or I don't know. Yeah, that's a little weird. It was strange.
That's a huge, like,
Yeah.
big gray fog of war type of thing going on in the back. That was just happening in the back of my mind. I'm like, why are they not mentioning her at all? Like, Nebula's in this,
Yeah.
and she's like just this femme fatale that's, you know, there to give her give them the assignment, and it's a big heist episode. But
If I had to guess, it's probably just a creative decision because they already had so many characters anyway in a 30-minute episode. So they had to focus on, you know, T'Challa as your main draw, obviously. But they do have like little gags here and there, like Drax shows up. That's a really fun gag.
not
with
Dave
him.
Bautista.
No.
And I think it's also probably, I mean, it might have been a creative decision to not bring Zoe Saldana as Gamora onto this episode, or maybe it was a conflict of like scheduling.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and you mentioned some of the creative stuff that they do to kind of finish out the script after Boseman passed away with some, you know, voiceover magic. They do that a lot actually with some smaller roles where they just reuse audio
Yes.
from movies. They do that in the first episode too, where you have Hugo Weaving showing up as Red Skull,
Yeah.
and they're just lifting lines straight from the movie.
I think they also did that with Kurt Russell's Ego the Living Planet.
They
Like the
did,
two
yes.
lines. Yeah, that's just directly from
they're
the second
just
movie.
straight up lines from the movie.
Which is fine. I mean, it works.
It's I mean, it doesn't sound any different. I would assume you'd only pick up on it if you knew or was were looking out for it if it struck a chord or something.
Like these guys.
Oh yeah, who have no lives.
Hey, wait.
But yeah, I just want to go back to episode 1 real quick. We're kind of dogging on it, but I did like it. It was a fun episode. It's interesting to see the difference in Peggy's captain as opposed to Steve's.
Yeah.
Where she is able to kind of revel in this new found power in a societal structure that just even when she's more souped up is just constantly trying to push her back down to what they deem as the appropriate status.
It definitely had the underlying message of men still being the superior workforce and just being at the front of the lines for everything.
And then you just get Steve still being a wholesome cinnamon bun.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And then the ending's a little weird because you get this interdimensional Kraken character popping out.
Out of left field. Like it could have been any...
we just kind of smushed some of that first movie together.
Like they could have brought Chitauri from Avengers 2012 and kind of hinted at them or something like that, but it's a brand new creature, so it's Hellboy all over again.
I'm sure that's actually a character deep in the Marvel lore.
I'll look it up while you continue.
I think the one thing that I really was kind of bummed about with the first episode, and it's something I really liked, and we actually just talked about in episode 2, is that it didn't have really a whole lot of different consequences, as opposed to the normal MCU timeline.
Yeah.
The captain still ends up vanishing. This time she is in space as opposed to Steve Rogers being frozen in ice. But Captain Britain still eventually comes back, and it's the war was over 70 years ago, that kind of thing. But for a second, there's a scene in there where Steve, they're at the train scene where Bucky in the movie dies, only to be recovered by Hydra and then turned into the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's kind of what they were going with in this timeline, where the same thing happens to Steve when he's in. They call it the Hydra Smasher, Hydra Crusher.
Yeah, Hydra Smasher was the Iron Man.
It's basically Iron Man Mark 1 suit. He ends up vanishing in the little avalanche and the train explosion, and so I thought they were actually going to go into that where Steve was going to be Winter Soldier, which I thought would have been really interesting, but then he just ends up showing back up 10 minutes later. So
they have a lot of potential, but I think it's squandered with the runtime of the episodes and just the budget and time constraints that they had with putting this all together with the voice actors and the performances. But it's just supposed to make you question what if this one thing changed all of these one thing. Yeah,
exactly.
So
that being said, I still enjoyed it, and the last thing I'll say about it, and we can move on, is it is gorgeous. I love the animation style. I was wondering how it was going to turn out after the trailers and the teasers and all that, because it's definitely a different animation style. It's almost like it's
like a cell shaded kind of
CG type thing. It's like if the 3D Netflix animes had good animation. Because this is spectacular.
Yeah.
It's definitely the best quality of its type, I think, that I've seen. Absolutely gorgeous shots for sure. But that being said, I am looking forward to the next episode, which
You have
they
no
come
idea.
out.
Do we know what it's going to be?
I know there's a Thor one, but I don't know if that's the next one. I haven't really kept track of any of the upcoming episode releases.
So there has been confirmation that this is canon, due to Loki's the show Loki.
Yeah.
And this is a side effect of all of these other universes that were created because of the decisions made at the end of Loki. Right. So with that being said, I don't think that this show, What If, will trickle into the MCU probably anytime soon, unless it's towards the end of Phase 5. But I do think that we will start to see some narrative influences from this show, or ideas probably.
Well, I'm sure things will pop up here and there too. Like
well, I do know, because you see in a shot in the trailer for What If that there is a Doctor Strange talking to the Captain Britain Peggy Carter from episode 1. So we are going to see some probably narrative cross-mogination between these episodes, and they're not necessarily one episode spin-offs. Although, some of them may be and some of them may not. So it's really just kind of a wait and see at this moment.
Yeah, and I'm sure there. Like I said, there's going to be little bits that pop up here and there, especially with like some throwaway gags. In episode,
like Howard the Duck in episode 2.
Howard the Duck is what I was gonna say. Yeah, you actually get like a full-on role of Howard the Duck for
From
what
Seth Green. Yeah, they brought him back. Like, hey, I mean, you did the one line at the end of Guardians 2, so can you come back and just voice a couple more?
Yeah. So I'm sure there's more fun stuff that'll pop up here and there like that outside of it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to more. If you're interested, they drop on Wednesdays. Because I guess that's what they're doing going forward now. I guess they had a lot of success with Loki on Wednesdays, so they're doing all their releases on Wednesdays now.
It's a good middle of the week, kind of. Man, I'm really looking forward to this thing on Friday, and Friday is the end of the week, or the work week for most people. So, but people are so busy doing everything else that they probably won't have time to watch all of that. So you can't drop everything on Friday.
Yeah, and
their movies also drop on Friday.
Yeah. So I watched that, and then the other thing I watched was they have again on Disney Plus, they have a new documentary style show. Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding.
That just came out like a week or two ago, called Behind the Attraction, and it's in the vein of the Imagineering story, as kind of diving into these. Each episode is a specific ride, whether it started in Disneyland or Disney World, and they go through the creation process and everyone who was behind that process, the stories that kind of built it into what it was, and they touch on some of the struggles, but it's very much Imagineering story would go into like all the warts of the process, right? It would go over failures, like when they were unveiling Disneyland Paris, and they were like, man, we did not realize how much the French hate Disney because we did that and they were pissed. And that is not here at all. And Behind the Attraction, it's very much surface level and feel good.
Do they touch on any new attractions, or is this a weekly release, or is this all at once?
So they're doing it in 2 batches. The first batch was the first 5 episodes, which cover Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Space Mountain, Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror, and what's the last one?
I don't know. I haven't been to any Disney park in literal years.
Oh man, Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion,
Pirates of the Caribbean?
No.
I'll just pull it up. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. No, that's
no, that'd be a short episode. Where are you?
Fantasia. Let me see. Tomorrowland? No, that's a whole thing.
Star Tours.
Fucking
Yeah.
lame. What an anticlimactic ending to that.
Sorry.
That query.
Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Star Tours, Tower of Terror, and Space Mountain. So those are the first 5 episodes, and then coincidentally, they're releasing the next 5 on this coming Wednesday on the 25th.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's where they're going with that. But it's very surface level. It toes the line between
like patting themselves on the back,
not so much that.
It's not self-serving.
There's a lot of like glossing over, so to speak, but it's more of like informational / commercial sort of thing, which I talked about a little bit with the Imagineering story. That sort of thing did pop up in the last episode, but for the majority of the Imagineering story, it was very deep dive, like here are all the issues that went on to creating parks, and like it was much more a documentary as opposed to this, which is infomercial, like almost.
Yeah, like this is the stuff you see on the TVs as you're walking into the park.
Right. And there's still some fun stuff in there, and they take a more humorous approach to it, or so they think humorous approach. It kind of wears on you after a little while because it's very like, what does someone who has never made a YouTube video in their life feel like
so
a
this
YouTube
is very
video?
Boardroom, like, hey, we need to advertise our park a little bit, and
we need to appeal to the youths. It's what it feels like.
Because the youths are not watching this series. I mean, there's people like us that I would like to say are youthful in mind that will watch this, but I can't imagine anybody who's wanting to go to Disney World or Disneyland or wherever, and they're interested in learning about their favorite ride that they got to ride when they came back from last time, and then so they sit down and watch something like this.
I mean, that's very much what it is. It's hey, you went to the park, you rode this ride, you loved it.
Right.
Here's some extra info. And it's Imagineering Stories episodes were an hour long each, sometimes even over a little bit. This is 45 minutes and under. So there's less content. Excuse me. But their humor style is very slapdash and interjectory, so it becomes a sort of struggle, and especially if you're watching all of them back to back as I did, it's tiresome because you just want to learn. I want to know about this shit, and instead you're like, they'll do this thing where the person they're interviewing is talking, and then the narrator will butt in and just have like these weird interjections of like here's the sentence start from the interviewee, and then the narrator will butt in and go like, but then, or like, or you mean to say, and then they'll cut back to like one.
That's so distracting.
One word thing. Yeah, it's very distracting, and it'd be one thing if it was parceled out a little more, but it is constant. It's through the entire fucking episode in all the episodes.
Like that could be the little bubble at the bottom of the page.
That is exactly what it is. Yeah, it's exactly a did you know sort of bubble. But it's just a narrator constantly going, but or this and that. And
that's like here's the thing: they have people that they can have host this, like personalities or just people that have a good interview type of style, and then just do this in person and make it seem more personal and therefore more endearing. They had a Jeff Goldblum show, and he made sneakers interesting to me. He made the ice cream culture interesting to me because it was fucking Jeff Goldblum.
I mean, what I will say is that the narrator, she's very good as a narrator. Like, she has a good narration voice and everything, or You
Yeah.
know, she's peppy enough to where, like, if they dialed down those interjections even just a little bit, it'd be great, actually.
Yeah.
But there's just so many, and it just, like I said, it gets to a point where you're like, oh my god, I just want to know. I want to know the thing. Stop getting in the way of me knowing the thing.
It's like reading a book and then having someone like put their hand over the pages going, did you know they actually got inspiration for this idea from this thing?
It's not even that, because that would be something. That would be adding to the discussion. Like, well, you know, sidetrack. This also comes from here.
Right.
This is like time for a one-liner. Time for a one-liner. Hey, you remember that one-liner from 2 one-liners ago? We're going to do that one again, but now it's here. And that's all it is. It's not like the interjections aren't adding to it. It's just like, it's almost like they were worried someone was going to fall asleep and then decided to keep you. I know what you're going to say. Before you get there, my response to that would be, if someone's choosing to watch this, they are choosing to watch it. It's not on. It's not just on cable. You know, it's not like you're going through channels and being like, oh, I guess I'll watch this, and you have to like keep up retention numbers or some shit. It's a fucking streaming service. If someone's clicking on it, they are wanting to watch it. So you don't need to worry about retention. Just tell me the goddamn info. I'm getting more upset about this than I actually was. When I was watching it, I was just like, all right, yeah, sure. But as I'm going back through it, like it's legitimately upsetting me more.
it's that happens to me more often than not. Like, just sometimes I'll come out of a movie theater and I'll be like, you know, that movie wasn't that bad. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. And then as I'm getting in my car and driving home, I realize, no, that plot hole is actually much bigger than I remember. Yeah, that was a problem. And then I get home and I start talking about it. I'm like, oh, so what'd you think about the movie? You know.
Then that snowball just keeps on going.
Yeah, it's just like, well, it was actually pretty dog shit, actually. Avengers Endgame, not good. A whole bunch of plot holes. I don't think that. I just think that that happens more often than not, especially the older you get. You start to realize all of the little things. And especially when you record a podcast with someone that you
it's all part of like processing it, right? Like you're processing the experience afterwards. And,
I just remember watching movies or TV shows, and by the end of it going, that was pretty good. I'm going to remember this in 10 years and remember that it was pretty good. And then that was the end of it. And then you moved on to the next thing.
Yeah, and you know what happened? You watched too many movies. So.
Don't ever tell me I watched too many movies.
But anyway, yeah, so all that aside, the information that they do have in there is fun. It's interesting. There's some stuff. There is some like crossover between the two shows of Imagineering Story and this Behind the Attraction. And even taking into account very minimally some of the stuff in pop culture. What?
I took the title literally. And as you were speaking, I was just like, Behind the Attractions, and I was just thinking, it's a documentary style film following a man who's just very sexually attracted to all of the different rides at Disneyland, and it's just like,
wow, your head is in a space. I can't comment on that.
Oh my god, I fucking love Jungle Cruise.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever that was, get your rocks off, I guess, however you can.
People go to Disneyland for all kinds of different reasons, you know. As long as they keep to themselves, that's their thing.
That'll get you kicked out, though. That'll get you banned.
I mean, as long as you're not like audibly like orgasming on fucking Haunted Mansion.
I'm not going to trust the guy who's telling me he's sexually attracted to Jungle Cruise. Like, just
but
straight up.
Watch a documentary about it?
No.
No? Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, there's a little bit of crossover as well from like pop culture, but it's very minimal as opposed to Imagineering Story, where there is quite a bit of crossover between the two shows. But there's some new stuff in there too that they didn't touch on. They go into the rides more specifically more than Imagineering Story does, for obvious reasons, because this show is specifically centered on the rides, whereas Imagineering story was more on the parks
Behind the
themselves.
scenes, like building it and everything.
Yeah. But that's kind of it. I feel as a documentary style show, Imagineering Story is still the better of the two shows. I am probably still going to watch the other 5 episodes when they drop, and I'll just grin and bear it through the narrating and the interjecting.
Yeah.
But as it stands, this is more of a, if it makes any sense to say, like a popcorn style doc, or like a in the background sort of thing.
Kind of just, it's fluff. It's more info for things that you had some sort of interest in, as any level of interest in.
Yeah. And there's definitely some good stuff in there. The Haunted Mansion one is probably the best episode. Tower of Terror gives it a pretty good run for its money as well. But there's some stuff in the Haunted Mansion episode that is really cool to learn.
Did I ever tell you I shit my pants on Tower of Terror?
No, because I thought you hadn't been to a Disney park. So,
well, it was when I was a kid. It wasn't last week. I was just saying, like, when I was a kid in the before times. Yeah, I was not ready for the drop, and so I dropped. If you get what I mean.
I'm sure the cleaning crew appreciated that.
Well, no, it didn't seep out. I didn't say that. I'm saying that. Okay. I'm saying I pooped my pants, and it was quite a walk to the restroom.
Like
and it was a waddle, and it was oops, you don't have an extra pair of underwear, because we weren't expecting a little boy to be scared of a massive drop and
then going back up and dropping again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I think it was actually after the second drop, because I was just like, I was in shock the first time. It was just it was a delayed poop.
Your body is catching up to
the poop was going back up the first time. It was coming out, it was back up, and then it finally came out. So that's my Tower of Terror story.
That's an unfortunate childhood story.
Yeah, I'm glad I shared it here.
Well, at least you've graduated to now where you can be sexually attracted to Tower of Terror.
I wasn't saying that was me. That wasn't. I'm not saying that was me.
Look. It's no judgment.
Nope.
But those are
those. I was gonna say the what are they called? The statues of heads.
The busts.
The busts are. Oh boy, you know what I mean?
Meaning.
Double meaning. Anyway, that was the end of the joke.
Those are the two things that I watched this past week. What did you watch?
Zach, I was busy. I was busy not being at home and going to the theater like a fucking idiot.
Oh yeah, that sounds like you.
So for those of you who haven't been paying attention to the pandemic, it's not getting any better. So mask up and get vaccinated. First off, I'll just preface all that by saying that. But I did go to the theater because it's not being released on a streaming service, because it's not an HBO film, so, or a Disney film sometimes. I went to go see...
Who's getting railroaded by all of its talent.
Exactly.
Talking about speedboats and bathtubs and shit.
Wait, what is that?
Did you see that?
From
Villeneuve did another interview. It was like, watching Dune on your television is like driving a speedboat in your bathtub. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, despite
calm down.
Well, he's going to be losing a lot of money regardless of how successful Dune is in theaters, because of all the money that's being. Yeah. Anyway, have no fear, Denis. I will see your movie in theaters, because a movie of that scale, it's like watching Star Wars on your phone with the sun like directly above you. It's like, why would you for the first time, I should say, why would you make yourself experience that? I plan on watching that in theaters. All of that preface aside, I still plan on going to the theaters and watching these movies so that I can relay my information and my thoughts and opinions onto here, which is what I'm doing. If you stop interrupting me, you fucking co-host.
Oh yeah, you're one to talk. Fucking king of interruptions, that's my
over
shit, here.
All right,
there's a reason. No. I'm still not over this shit.
You're the straight edge, and I am the loose cannon who doesn't play by anybody's rules.
You give me shit every episode about going over, and half the reason is because you are interrupting me all the time. So I don't want to hear that shit.
Well,
no.
it's
the shoe is on the other foot, sir.
I can do it. You can't. It's a two-man podcast. Only one person can do one thing. So I went to the movie theater, and I watched the two new releases that came out this weekend, The Night House and Reminiscence. Zach, which one would you like to talk about first?
Well, I actually didn't know about The Night House until you texted me.
Really?
Yesterday, yeah. Reminiscence, the only thing I knew was when we went and saw Green Knight. That was the first time I had seen the trailer.
Oh.
And then after that, I have seen the trailer at least twice a day, every day.
That is Warner Brothers trying to make up for the fact that they're starting to realize. I mean, they've already realized, but a lot of these fall releases that they were hoping to rake in money for are not going to be making the money that they were hoping.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the box office reports every day, and I'm noticing that there is a significant drop in theaters sales. Not only because a lot of the people who are smart and are watching it at home, who are subscribed to HBO Max, this is not an ad, by the way, but they're not willing to take that risk. And the people who are going to the movie theaters and watching these movies are spread so thin just because they're in the fucking hospital. Haha, got him.
I mean, we were talking about it not too long ago. The fact that Suicide Squad, while having records for like breaking pandemic level or pandemic time ticket sales on like Thursday nights, they broke that. It's still barely hitting 30 mil at the time. So, you know, they I'm sure are pretty frustrated that some of these bigger releases that were marketed down the line or even pushed in some examples are not benefiting from that.
I mean, when we were talking about our experience at the Green Knight, that was just a couple of weeks ago, and it was a full theater. So I may have been in a theater that experienced a significant change in its people seeing the movie, or maybe it was just a very good time to see a movie because it was empty.
Well, I think there's something also to say there was about a 2 or 3 week time period where things were getting bad again, or getting worse again, and it was not catching up with everyone quite yet. So I think when the Green Knight dropped, it was kind of in that sweet spot of people getting to the point where they felt more comfortable going out, even though, you know, things were going to get bad again. But also like they're not being informed enough to take the necessary precautions. So that's why we got into that theater, and it was packed, and some fucking Neanderthal had his. Well, don't take your shoes off in the theater, by the way.
Yeah, don't fucking do that, you fucking sick fuck. I swear to God, that's the grossest fucking thing.
I forgot to rant on that last time we talked about it, but don't take your fucking shoes off. You're disgusting.
I promise you that we are going to do an entire episode on what you should and should not do at a movie theater, because I feel like it needs to be explained again for those who can't seem to understand or wrap their heads around what you need to do when it comes to policies, when it comes to just common decency and all of that. But that's not all tied into the movies that I watch, Zach. And I will say just right before I go back into these, the perfect storm of Green Knight was the end of the school summer. It was a Friday night. It was the marketing of that film, which made it seem to be an entirely different film. So all of that tied into that film. But
and I think we were saying that if Suicide Squad had dropped a week early, they probably would have been seeing better numbers.
Yeah, and that theater would have been empty. Yeah, the one that we went to. All that being said, Reminiscence is both on HBO Max and in theaters. That's what started that whole rant.
Is it on HBO Max? I thought
it is on HBO Max. Reminiscence is on HBO Max. That's where I saw it, and I saw The Night House in theaters. So I had two different experiences with both of these movies. Not that it will change my opinion about the story and the characters and the plot, but did you say which one you wanted to watch or wanted to talk about?
I think at this point I'm pretty tired of seeing anything about Reminiscence. And Night House I know nothing about, except for what you've already told me prior to this.
Well, I can tell you that just very quickly that Reminiscence, directed and written by Lisa Joy, who is a co-creator on Westworld, as well as Jonathan Nolan, who helped produce the film. All of that pedigree and talent is wasted on this neo-noir film, and it's very stilted dialogue and insanely bad accents from some characters. Contrived sets and scenes. I think that if you want something like this, the closest thing you'll get is probably, ironically, Christopher Nolan's Inception, who did a very similar type of setup and story, and I personally find to be more enjoyable. I think that visually the film is phenomenal. Of course, the people I mentioned before, Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan, they know how to make attractive looking cinema and TV environments, but I think a lot of it is wasted on this like very overly confusing story, and it's kind of a mess. And
You're telling me the team from Westworld made a confusing narrative mess in which all the potential was wasted?
I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, you also see some actors like Tandy Newton showing up in this film. Great. I mean, all kinds of great actors are involved in this film. You've got Rebecca Ferguson. You've got Hugh Jackman. Cliff Curtis. And one of the smaller actresses, not that I'm minimizing her performance, but a secondary character in the first season of Westworld, she also shows up in this film. So I think they brought back a lot of actors that they like to use. But Daniel Wu, who I mostly know from Into the Badlands, an AMC show that everyone should check out and was canceled. Just at least we needed just one more fucking season. It's a great show. Go check it out. But Daniel Wu shows up as a kind of tertiary antagonist, and he tries his best to do like a New Orleans accent, and it was very bad, and it immediately pulled me out of the film, and the rest of the film just kind of fell apart from there. But long story short, not the best neo-noir science fiction film, and I feel like it could have done more with its premise and cast, and so it's a bit of a waste. If you want to check it out and you're subscribed to HBO Max, I would check it out there. Not waste your money, go traveling to the theater. The second film I watched is one that I actually talked to you about just a little bit after coming out of the theater, because I wanted to kind of expunge my thoughts onto you before I inevitably snowballs like we talked about before.
Yeah, exactly.
Before I processed it, I wanted to go, I feel good about this movie. I'm gonna let those good feelings out.
Let me get those good thoughts out.
Yeah, before they get completely annihilated by bad thoughts. And actually, you'll be happy to know those bad thoughts didn't fall apart or were smashed to smithereens. I think The Night House, which I just had pulled up. What the hell? Hold on. Just vamp for me.
So what is the house like when it's not at night?
It's a day house.
It's a day house.
Thanks, Zach.
It's a day home?
Son of a bitch.
Like a vacation home. Like, oh, let's spend the day here. Oh no, it's night.
So, shut up. The worst. The night.
Look, no, you can't be choosy. That time I didn't do my patented vamp.
Yeah, I know.
I know the viewers and listeners at home are very saddened. So, but I did that for you.
Did you?
Because you wanted that. Yes.
Okay. So, The Night House is a psychological thriller film starring Rebecca Hall, Sarah Goldberg, who you may know from Barry, Vondie Curtis Hall, and basically two other actors who I don't want to mention for spoiler reasons. But a very small cast and a very contained story that's basically Rebecca Hall acting for the majority of the film kind of on her own and pulling her weight in those scenes. Not to sound contrived, but it basically follows the story of a widow who begins to uncover her recently deceased husband's secrets. And she starts to become a little bit more paranoid, and everyone's kind of just saying, oh, you're just grieving, and you're just going through some things, but there's more to it. And without going too much into a spoiler, because it's obviously a lot of it is tied into the psyche of not only Rebecca Hall's character, but also into some of the things that she discovers along the way. I will say the advertisements for this trailer also make it a little bit misleading, but I think it better serves your expectations for whenever you actually eventually do watch it. I think it actually comes out to be a better film than what you see in the advertisements, because
the advertising actually undersells it.
Right. I kind of circled around to that, but yeah, it very much tries to sell it as one thing when it actually was something a lot more, that I was surprised by, because I went into this film with, it's just going to be kind of a cool horror film I'm going to watch after my 6-day work week. I'm fucking tired. I want to go to the movies. Yeah. It's kind of my thing. So that's what I did. And I came out going, wow, I didn't think that they would actually be able to get away with this very personal story. And they
murder those bastards.
Yeah. So basically, I think it's a film that you can go in with no expectations and be pleasantly surprised. There are some really cool tricks of the camera that they use, and you can kind of see it in the trailer when it comes to perspective. And they kind of play with light and just cinematography. I was just pleasantly surprised by the psychological thriller, and I thought that in an age where they can just kind of churn them out, like churn out 50 a year, that I didn't want to let this kind of seep through the sieve, as it were. And I basically came out and said to you that this gave me very Invisible Man 2020 vibes. And we both came out of that theater going, oh, that was surprisingly good. Like, I didn't think this remake of Invisible Man was going to be any good at all, but there you go.
Yeah. Invisible Man, you equating the quality of the Night House to that, for me, was like a big quality statement. Because that was a phenomenal movie. And I don't remember if I ranked them, but I remember it was for sure in my top 10 movies, or top 5. I forget what we did, but it was in the top of that year. Whenever it was a really good movie that I really liked. I do remember that.
It's just ironic that this is another great horror film starring an invisible character.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, is it that surprising though? Because everybody talks about the best part of Jaws is that you don't see the shark until the very end.
I mean, honestly, it's not that the character is invisible. It's that a lot of the horror in this film is stuff that you just don't see. You don't see until the film basically lets you see. There is one jump scare in the film that I almost pooped myself again, and this is just one of those things where I guess
you need to see a doctor.
I probably should. I got a very loose butt. But it's basically the surprise loud scare comes at a moment where you can't really see anything as an audience member, but the character in the scene can, and so they're freaking out before you are, and so you're just trying to play catch up for like 30 seconds before you start to realize what's actually going on. So it was actually kind of disorienting, and I thought it was kind of an intriguing, different way to do the very stereotypical loud noise bang. And so this is a scary moment happening. You need to realize this, because when you're not being allowed to see what the character sees, you feel a little bit lost. And so you're constantly second guessing everything that you're seeing or experiencing. And I thought they do that several times in this film. So
nice.
So
I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah,
sure.
I recommend it. It is unfortunately only in theaters right now, but if you are safe, then I definitely recommend checking it out, because it's a really good film.
Very nice.
Cool. Zach, we are under our runtime.
I know. Look at us.
Oh fuck! I really thought you were gonna pad out that Imagineering story behind the attractive rides part of the thing. So I wanted.
This is what happens when you dig at me every week for going over.
Okay.
Even though you factor in the intro into my time.
I'm allowed to. I don't even give that much time for the intro. All right. So what I actually wanted to do, shut up before we do anything, was I actually wanted to go over some of the films, because it's just so hot out. It's summer. Right now today it's like It says that it's only like 85, but it's like
Oh no,
there's
heat,
no
heat
way.
index I think is like 105.
Okay, well then my temperature's broke. My thermostat's broken because boy, it's hot out. Like even when I'm inside, it's fucking warm. Zach, I wanted to go over some of the films that help cool you off during the summer. Like, what's a good, relaxing, cooling film that you can relax and watch during these last few moments of the summer?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot here.
It's okay. I have literally nothing either. So,
relaxing movies.
what's a great beach movie that you would
a
watch?
beach movie? You obviously you got Weekend at Bernie's, right? Like that's
Weekend at Bernie's 2, I would even say, because then you're going tropical, you're going exotic.
there. You go.
Oh, hold on, I saw that. I got it.
Wow, you should do a remake of Weekend at
Are
Bernie's.
you calling me lifeless?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
well,
I'm very corpse-esque.
when you act like a corpse, yes.
Well, I was just twitching. It says it doesn't.
Yeah, it's perfect casting.
Weekend at
Hire
Bernie's.
this man.
Shut up. Weekend at Bernie's is your choice?
Well, it's the beach choice. I mean, if you want beach, you can also watch Top Gun.
Top Gun, yeah, for that one scene. I mean, I know that they're replicating it in Top Gun Maverick, which I'm getting ready for again. I'm very excited.
We'll see. We'll see.
Are you Goose in this scenario, or do you want to be? No, you don't want to be Goose. We talked about
I don't want
this.
to be Goose. No.
You want to be Maverick or Iceman, I guess.
Yes.
Or well, who's the other guy? Fuck. Need to rewatch Top Gun. Oh boy,
Yeah.
my fandom's
Gotta
showing.
prep. Gotta do your homework.
I do, yeah. I was already planning on watching Top Gun 1 before Top Gun Maverick. What's a good beach movie? Can't say Jaws.
Beaches.
We do beaches. I mean, if you wanted to, you could The Beach with Leo.
Yeah. Old. Well, you just saw that one.
Yeah, we don't. I don't think you want to go to that beach either. That one makes you old. Zach, that one makes you
No,
old.
it's right on the tin. How could I have never seen this coming?
Oh, if only I had seen M. Night Shyamalan's giant ass name on the top of the poster. Trying to think. I mean, we're just going with beaches. Beaches aren't necessarily the first thing I think of when I want to relax during the summer.
There's another summer-esque vibe too, and it doesn't pertain to us too much because we're adult and sad.
Oh. Okay, yeah, sorry.
But for kids, you have your summer break movies, right?
Right.
Like your
I know what you did last summer.
Sandlot.
Oh no, yeah.
That was. Oh yeah, that one too.
Yeah, The Sandlot.
Even though doesn't that take place at the prom? Isn't that specifically in the school year?
Oh, I guess, yeah.
I seem to remember that being the whole.
Well, now I'm only
setting.
thinking of like movies that take place at school, because those are the only ones that like they actually have a scene taking place during the summer, or like they reference the summer or something like that. Sandlot's a good. Let's just circle back to that. Sandlot's good.
Recess, the Recess,
The
movie?
animated Recess movie, one that came out when we were kids. You remember? You remember Recess?
Snow Day. You could really cool off with that one.
I didn't ever watch Snow Day. I did watch Snow Dogs, starring Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh yes, Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah. Snow Day was a fine kids movie. I'm sure if I watched it now.
Winning Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah.
Snow Day villain was
Is that Paul Giamatti? No, that was
Paul Giamatti. Yeah.
Was it Paul Giamatti?
No, I'm pretty sure it was Paul Giamatti.
Because
Yeah.
Big Fat Liar was the hold on.
It was right. It was after Big Fat Liar. I'm pretty sure.
Snow Day came out in 2000. I think it was Chris Elliott or Chevy Chase, whatever his fucking name is. Big Fat Liar came out in 2002. Came out after. It was Chris Elliott, the guy who did Grab My Little Hand from Scary Movie.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yeah. You're right.
That guy.
Also in How I Met Your Mother. Fun tidbit,
that too, yeah, I guess, yeah. He's a character actor. Come on, let's be honest. I'm trying to think of another one. Good relaxing movie. Good calming, like just chill. Maybe one thing goes wrong, but then it's quickly resolved kind of thing. I guess Grown Ups. if you really have no kind of sense of humor.
Ugh.
Or Grown Ups too.
I saw Grown Ups in theaters, and
Yeah, same.
I regret it. Every
You could
day of
watch.
my life. I don't think I'm the same person I was pre-Grown Ups movie.
I remember coming to that movie theater, and this is before we did the podcast, before I ever even considered doing this, but I remember coming out of the movie theater, and I think I watched it with family because it was like around Christmas.
Yeah,
or
I got dragged to it by family. Is what happened to me.
And when we came out of the theater, they're like, "So what'd you think? That was pretty funny, right? You enjoyed it?" I'm like, "There was no fucking plot to that movie. Yeah. There was no, like, they had a villain, but that was for one scene at the end. But there was literally no reason why all of these characters had to come together. It's just because all of these comedians know each other, and they decided to make a movie.
Yeah. Adam Sandler wanted to pay his friends. And that's what they did. And you know what? Fair play to him. It worked. It made a bunch of money.
I guess.
He made 2 other ones.
Wait, there's just 2 movies, 2 grown-ups movies.
Oh, there was 2 movies. They were going to do a 3rd one.
Oh, yeah.
And then they didn't do that.
Thank God. Zach, if people wanted to tell us how incorrect we are about the Grown Ups franchise, yes, franchise when it's more than one film, how would they be able to message us?
If they wanted to rail at us for our Grown Ups knowledge,
you're fucking wrong.
Or be mad that we didn't actually answer your initial question, you could message us at our Patreon, patreon.com/lightscamera-nonsense, or you can shoot us an email, which we will read your anger and resentment on here if you email us at lightscamera-nonsense.com.
Questions at lightscamera-nonsense.com.
Yeah. And you know what? If they wanted to rep us while also hating us, where would they go, Nick?
If they wanted to hate buy our merch, they can go to store.lightscamera-nonsense.com, where you could buy mugs, t-shirts, and all kinds of other things. That's not a mug or a t-shirt. Just go to store.lightscamera-nonsense.com. But this has been
Are you Will Ferrell in Old School?
Sure.
He gets tranked.
You're my boy Blue! This has been Lights Camera Nonsense, keeping you updated despite our best efforts. Make sure to tune in every week for all the latest news, reviews, and what else, Zach?
How do you do?
Oh, that was actually really nice. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in.
I went to meter it a little bit this time.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.